Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kierradjackson. If you are new here, what's up girl or guy? Welcome to the channel. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and stay around for a little bit because I have started a new series on my channel and it's learning all about being in your 20s and things that I have faced in my 20s and things like that. So if you guys have any topics that you want me to discuss, because I'm going to be talking about a lot of things that are relevant to my life that I have experienced personally, please feel free to leave them down below and I will discuss them in one of my next videos. So today's topic is going to be the mistakes that I made in my 20s. So I don't have any regrets, but I want to talk about mistakes because I think that I have made quite a few mistakes in my 20s. And yeah, if I could go back, I wouldn't do them. But this is gonna range from like financial stuff, relationship things, career wise, and things like that. So I would say a mistake that I made in my 20s is not investing. Like, that's like the biggest thing for me is like investing. I had no idea what it meant to invest. And you know, now being the big age of 26, I'm just like, you know what, I should have invested a long time ago. Thankfully I'm still young, so I can do it, but I'm like, I should have invested in stocks. I should have invested in you know, some companies. I should have invested in real estate. I should have invested in myself, in things like therapy, things like you know, a trade, a skill. I should have invested my money. I should have invested a lot of things for myself, but you don't know what you don't know. But I would say that's one of my biggest mistakes is like not investing, and my kids would definitely be investing if I make it to have kids and see that. They definitely will know about investing. One of my biggest things is working for someone who does not value me. I gave a lot of my time, a lot of my energy. I worked double shifts. I worked over. I came in early for jobs that, you know, if I dropped dead tomorrow would just going with their life and not care about me, my family, whoever. And I just realized like not knowing my worth in the workplace is pretty big to me, especially now at this big age of 26. I'm just like, I know my worth and I am not going to settle for a job or a career that doesn't pay me what I feel like I am worth, or that doesn't, you know, allow me to have a comfortable life. So that was like definitely one of the biggest mistakes that I made in my 20s, is allowing these jobs to basically treat me however and not really taking control of myself. If you guys seen on my last video, I said when you go into an interview, they ask you questions. They want to know about you. They want you to sell yourself to them. But why aren't you asking them about them so that you can get a better idea of if this is even a good fit for you? Something to think about. Food for thought. One of my other mistakes is definitely giving to others before, I guess, giving to myself, because it's not necessarily nothing wrong with giving to other people, but when you're kind of pouring from an empty cup, not good. I think that personally I am a giver, so I try to, you know, take care of my family. I try to take care of my friends, and I kind of lacked myself because I gave to everybody else. When I was in college, I was struggling. When I got out, I was struggling. Nobody knew because from the outside looking in, it looked like I was, you know, living it up. But in all reality, I was actually struggling. I just kind of put my head down and kept going, running the race until I got to where I wanted to be. So I would say, like, so my third mistake that I made in my 20s that I would not recommend making is to allow people to have more time, or allow people grace in relationships and friendships just because of history. I think that I held on to a lot of friendships and a lot of relationships because of history. And like my last relationship, I held on to it for almost 4 years because of history. And you know, sometimes people are good people and they have a place in your life, but not as your partner. There are certain things that we want in a partner. There are certain things that we need in a partner. And if someone just doesn't make the cut, they just don't make the cut, and that is perfectly fine. The same thing with friendships. I have definitely been guilty of hanging on to friendships that are meaningless. Like, I feel like I'm pouring to this person, but in all reality, they really don't care about me. And it's like, you know, it's all fun and games when we're out having fun, all this stuff. But when you're down and out, or you have some serious things going on, some serious life stressors, or some serious life changes, then it becomes a very big deal. And when those people aren't there, then you start to realize who really is truly there for you and who really aren't. So I would definitely say, y'all, I'm outside, so the thing just came on. But I would definitely say that, you know, allowing people more time than I should have. There were many signs, many red flags that I should have pretty much cut people off, and I didn't listen. And believe me when I say this, down the road, it will cost you. It will cost you emotions. It will cost you time. It will cost you energy. And honestly, it's not worth it. My next big mistake was being a mediator for a lot of people. I felt like I've always been that person that people came to when they had things going on, and I wound up being a mediator, basically giving and giving and giving and giving advice to other people. And I will say that I'm not a mediator. Your problems are not my problems. There's a lot of people out here are out to, you know, suck what they can out of you, but they have nothing to offer back to you, or even to themselves for that matter. Okay, so my next big mistake that I made in my 20s is, I don't have a lot of debt, but I will say, you know, going into debt at an early age and not realizing what debt is. I know in my household that wasn't really talked about. You know, we kind of lived in the rat race. If you guys haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I would definitely recommend reading that book. A lot of people live in the rat race, which is like a paycheck to paycheck type of deal. And that's kind of how I grew up. You know, as long as we had money by Friday, then we were good. But in our reality, I don't regret it, but that was a big mistake that I made in my 20s. But honestly, it was just from ignorance, not really knowing. And I'm very grateful that I do know now. But I will say, like, you know, getting into debt without really even knowing what debt is, or how to get out of debt for that matter. So yeah, that's a big thing for me. The next big mistake that I would say is definitely moving in with roommates. I absolutely discourage that, especially if you guys are friends, or if you guys are in college, not really mature and things like that. That was one of my big mistakes, and I hated it because people aren't like you. People don't clean like you. People don't care about cleanliness like you. People do not respect boundaries. People do not respect your personal time. They don't respect your sleep. They don't respect, you know, finances. They don't respect anything that you have, especially at that young age of 20 years old, or even as a teenager. People don't respect that. So I would say, like, definitely having roommates was something that I would never, I'm not going to say never because I never want to say never, but I highly discourage roommates. Yeah, not at all. So the next big mistake that I made in my 20s is telling my friends everything. I think that sometimes you have to understand that everyone is not going to understand or see things how you see them, and they're not always there to give you sound advice, and that's just the reality of it. Telling your friends and your family everything, honestly, they're super biased. Number one, they don't see everything that goes on inside of, you know, your four walls or inside of your front doors. They don't see all those things and what's going on inside your life, anything. They don't see those things. So to allow them to have an opinion on something that's, you know, very important to you, or someone that's very important to you, I think is a huge mistake. Just off the strength of that they are super biased. Even if you think someone is being a neutral party, they are biased in some way. So I would say, like, just letting your family and friends know everything about what you have going on is, to me, not ideal, or valuing their opinion when it comes to certain situations, because in our reality, we are growing to be big adults, grown as adults, and we have to learn how to take responsibility to make decisions, make wise decisions. And also, even if we put ourselves in situations that aren't ideal, we have to learn how to not put the blame on other people and honestly take responsibility. Because I've seen it too many times, like family members, their partner will do something and then they put all the blame on that partner. But, you know, we have to take responsibility for allowing that. Or even, you know, whatever we did in a situation, we have to take responsibility for that. So I would definitely say that. The next big mistake that I made in my 20s is, I would say, not learning the difference between a degree and knowledge. Because a degree, that's all it gets you, is a degree. you learn what you learn, and that's what you get, that piece of paper, and then you know, you go on into the workforce. But a skill and a trade, to be able to even have your own business, to me, I just see right now at this age in my, or this time in my life, is like I'm super entrepreneurial. So it's like I kind of look at like I should have learned a skill or a trade very early on. I should have learned a skill or a trade super early on, so that I could have been generating, you know, property, and I mean, so I could be generating, like, you know, wealth for myself and for my future family. The next big mistake that I made in my 20s is going to a university. I regret, no, I'm just kidding, I don't regret, but I feel like you don't have to go to a university, and I wish that people would stop pushing it on their children, because you don't have to go to a university to be knowledgeable, to be educated. You don't even have to have a degree to be educated. I mean, there are some fields that are going to require that piece of paper, absolutely, and I do not discourage it. I learned a lot in college about myself and just about, you know, my degree in general. So I definitely say, you know, if that's something you want to do it. However, I don't want them student loans, girl. I don't know about you, girl, boy, whoever I'm talking to. I don't know about you, but I don't want them student loans. And thankfully, I had the military. However, I still took out, you know, a little bit of student loans. Not too much, but I did take out a little bit of student loans. And honestly, no one told me, but I personally did it because I needed a way to survive in college. And I was working, going to school, in the military. I was struggling. And I had to do everything by myself. So no one ever told me, you know, not to do that, what that meant, what that would look like in my future life. And I would say that was a big mistake that I made in my 20s. That was a big mistake that I made in my 20s. And that's just to name a few. I will do a part 2 video if you guys want me to go in depth on something, or to talk about something in particular in my life. I will say that some big mistakes that I made in my 20s. But I will tell you, the best decision that I made in my 20s was marrying my husband. I married my husband at 23 years old, and I do not regret that. I'm so glad that I did not tell anybody, and that I did not allow others to have opinions on what I was doing. Because if I would have, I know for a fact that we wouldn't be together right now. And I know for a fact that we wouldn't be as strong and as powerful and as united as we are. We are super close. We have a great bond, and we are, I like to say, doing well. I don't have any complaints. I don't think he does either, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think that a lot of that is from not letting people in our ears. That's personally what I feel like. That was the best decision. It's a great feeling to have a partner, someone to balance things out, someone to pick you up when you're down, someone to, you know, take responsibility for certain things so that you don't have to do it, someone to go pump your gas when you don't want to pump your gas, someone to help you in everything that you do. There's nothing like having that person. You don't always find that in a friend. You don't always find that in a relationship, a person. Even sometimes in your own family, you don't always find that. So just to have that person to support you and be your biggest cheerleader and things like that, that has been the best decision that I made in my whole entire life. And I would do it again and again. The only thing that I regret about that is not doing it sooner. So yeah, y'all, this is some of my big mistakes that I have made in my 20s, and I hope that you guys learn from me and don't go out here and make these same mistakes. Like, learn from me. Go be great, but be smart. Play it smart. If you don't know something, ask, and it shall be given. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you have any topics that you want me to discuss about, you know, surviving your 20s, be sure to leave it down in the description box. Not the description box. Make sure to leave it down below in the comment section, and I will discuss it in a future video. So thank you all so much for watching me once again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe once again, and I will see you all in the next one. Toodles.